Welcome back to the channel. In today's video, we are going over what I watched in the month of October. Now, I'm going to put this video in the playlist with all of the rest of, the what I watched in the month of videos. So if you want to check those out, if not, it's pretty simple. We're just going to go over it real quick here. Down at the bottom, obviously, these are all the movies I watched last month, and we're going to throw them on this tier list, where I rate them, and then at the end, we're going to organize them and rank them. So starting off with The Wild Robot. This is one of those that probably, one of the best movies of the year. Also, one of the movies that made me the most emotional. I'm gonna go with a 4, but I do think that this is one of those that when the Oscar nominations come around and I rewatch all of the Oscar videos, when I'm rewatching this one because it's gonna get nominated for animated film, I feel like this is gonna be one of those that I can find myself loving even more on additional rewatches. So it's gonna stay at a 4 for now, but definitely has the potential of going up. And then we have Transformers 1. Went back to back animated films. This one I didn't love as much. I do think that there is part of it is I'm just not the biggest Transformers fan, and so I think if you are a fan of Transformers, I think obviously you're gonna love that one a little bit more than I did. So it's a 3-star movie for me. And then we had Will and Harper. This is another one that obviously for trans people or for people in this community, I think it's something that it's a very important film, and I think it's an important film for people outside of the community too, to be able to kind of have a intimate look at a trans woman as she's navigating life in America. And so I think it's an important film, and it's a beautiful film, and I think this is one that it should be a must watch for you. It's on Netflix. I really recommend checking it out. I definitely think this is one of those that I think will hit a lot harder for some people than it does for others. But regardless, I still think it's an important watch. And then we have The Platform. So I guess I'll tell you, I've got The Platform and The Platform 2. I had no idea The Platform 2 was coming out. I didn't know that was a thing that actually was happening. And so when I saw that, I was so excited because I loved the platform when that was on Netflix years ago. I'm going 4.5 on The Platform. Like, I really loved it. Obviously, I think it's one of those. I think it's better maybe the first time you see it. I didn't love it as much seeing it a second time now. What has it been? 4 years later? 5 years later? Was this 2019? Can't remember. I think this was no. I think maybe this was 2020. Regardless, whatever the platform was, maybe I don't love it as much as I did then, but I thought it was great. And then The Platform 2. Oh, this one, it definitely was kind of for me, kind of a step down. I didn't love it as much. I think the first one kind of ends on this really interesting note of where the future of the franchise, if you're going to make it a franchise, where it goes. And then this does the interesting thing of becoming a prequel, which I think kind of worked and was kind of cool, but it just kind of felt like it didn't quite set up on the promise. Now, I guess if there's a third one, this one kind of blends in with the first one, so it would be interesting to see where it goes. But I think I'm going a 2.5 here on The Platform 2. And then we have Salem's Lot. I haven't seen. I love Stephen King. I love Stephen King adaptations, but I haven't seen Salem's Lot. I didn't know a whole ton about it. And this was just okay. Like, nothing really special about this. I think I'm just gonna go with a 2. And then we have Joker. Now this is gonna be, I think, an interesting 1-2 punch here with Joker and then Joker Folie à Deux. Um, I thought the first Joker was okay. Obviously, the first Joker was kind of controversial. A lot of people had it at a 5. A lot of people had it, at a 1 down here. For me, I liked it. A 3.5. I didn't love it. It wasn't the most, I wasn't just blown away by how amazing it was, but I also wasn't on the other side of like, this movie is so detrimental to, XYZ. I didn't look at it like that, and so it was just okay. It's a 3.5. And then Joker Folie à Deux, this is one of those where I think a majority of people all have it down here, and especially the people that have it down here are the people that loved the Joker so much. I think maybe because I didn't love the original Joker, I didn't hate the sequel as much as everyone else did. I'm putting this at like a 3-star. I like the idea. I like the concept of like the first movie about this man trying to become the Joker, or he's this role he's trying to fill, and then the second film kind of being a character kind of analyzing it and breaking it down of like, oh, maybe he isn't. This isn't who he is. He isn't the Joker. And so I kind of liked that concept, I guess, of a film. And I don't think it was greatly executed. I don't think it was amazing, but I still enjoyed it more than I think a lot of people did. So I'm going with the three for Joker Folie à Deux. I don't. I think there's things about some parts of the ending I wish could have been a little bit different. There are a couple things here and there that I think could have been changed, but I still thought it wasn't as bad as I think a lot of people were trying to say that it was. And then we have the Outrun. I love Saoirse Ronan, and so I was obviously very stoked, very excited to see this. I think I think it's a good movie. I don't think it's great or anything, but it really is one of those that Saoirse Ronan is the highlight. So if you love Saoirse Ronan, I mean, you get to watch a 2 hour movie that's just full of Saoirse Ronan, being a phenomenal actress. So, going to 3.5 there. Then we have My Old Ass. Now, this is one of those where I thought it was going to be kind of um, like a dumb comedy, but I thought, it would still be funnier. You can just kind of watch and be like, oh, I wasn't expecting this to affect me as emotionally as it did. By the end, I think The Wild Robot is maybe the movie I've cried the most at this year. The maybe cry the most. I think My Old Ass might be number two. Those might be the two movies. I guess I have to think. I guess I got a little emotional during Dee Dee. But yeah, I mean, those were kind of the movies that, like, off the top of my head, that made me cry the most. And so, I'm putting My Old Ass up at a four, which shocked me going in. I did not think I was going to enjoy it as much as I did, and I really loved it. And then we have It's What's Inside. This is one of those that I'm gonna go probably a 3.5, but it's one of those movies that I watched it the entire third act, and kind of the premise. I don't want to say anything because I think this is one of those you should go in as blindly as possible. But the premise or the setup, I knew it was going to get really confusing and was going to get really like convoluted in the third act. I just felt it. I knew it was coming. And then when we got to the third act, was confused, was trying to connect things. You don't trust a lot of the characters because there's no way of really knowing on some of the characters with what they're saying and what's going on, and so I knew I was just going to be confused. And then even when you are at a point where you kind of understand what's going on, it's still so much is happening that it's still like you have to you have to be the Charlie from It's Always Sunny, with the strings, conspiracy theory, like try and tie everything together to even understand what's going on. And I think on the first watch I loved it just because I could sit back and just be like, oh, I don't understand, I don't know, I'm not following, I'm not connecting all the dots. But I think on a second watch in the future, I think I'll pay attention, I'll be ready for it a little bit more and be able to see if I can actually kind of follow how everything's happening there in the third act. But it was a crazy experience. I'm going 3.5. And then we have Imaginary, a movie that came out at the beginning of the year, Blumhouse film, I believe, and it finally is on streaming. I finally just checked it out, and there's a reason why I don't think a lot of people really heard or talked about Imaginary after kind of like the opening weekend. So I'm going to 1.5. And then we have the Terrifier series. I saw the first Terrifier before seeing Terrifier 2, and in my head I was like, I'm never watching that again. It wasn't this amazing movie. And then I did. I watched it again for this, and I don't know. For what it is. It's a 2.5. I think Terrifier as a franchise, it really is just kind of a bloody slasher genre that I think what makes it work is oh, I should have looked it up. David Thornton, is that his name? The actor who plays Art the Clown, he's phenomenal, and he's the best part of the Terrifier series. Like, he is what makes these movies work, because otherwise, especially the first one, is really low budget, really bad acting outside of him, and so it wouldn't have gotten as far without him. Then we have Terrifier 2 that just kind of steps it up a notch. I'm gonna go up to a 3. Obviously, it becomes a bigger scale. It's a bigger budget. It's like 2.5 hours, which is way too long for a slasher film to be, especially this type of slasher. And the third act of that movie just goes forever. So it's a not my favorite. And then Terrifier 3, I'm also probably just going to go a 3-star. I think the Terrifier franchise, I think this is kind of where it lives. I can't imagine what a Terrifier film would have to do for me to, like, love it. For me to, really push it up into, like, the 4 5-star range. I just, it's just a genre in particular that doesn't, I don't connect with as much. And then we have Saturday Night. I'm going to go with a 3.5 on this. I think it was a fun comedy. I enjoyed a lot of the performances. I enjoyed a lot of the actors. But it's one of those that I personally just don't have much of a connection to Saturday Night Live. I watched a couple episodes when I was a kid, but I've just never really been into Saturday Night Live. So this is one that I think definitely if you have more of a connection to the show than I do, you probably are going to enjoy the film a whole lot more. But for me, I think it's just kind of a fun comedy that just kind of sits in the middle there. And then we have Wolves, Brad Pitt, George Clooney. Um, this is another one where it kind of gets, especially the ending, is really rushed and a little convoluted. And I think there's a lot of decisions or things that are happening along the way where I don't think the characters would make the decisions that they make. It kind of feels like the tone of the film is a little off, where it feels like it should be grittier, but then it kind of ends up kind of being a little more like heartwarming in a sense. And so I think some of the tones are a little bit off with it. So I'm gonna go with a 2.5 there. And then we have Brothers. Check this on out on Amazon Prime, I believe. Prime Video. I did not really enjoy this. I'm going with a 1.5 on this one. It wasn't great. And then we have Woman of the Hour. Now, I love Anna Kendrick, and so I was really looking forward to this, and I think it was good. I'm going to go with a 3.5. I don't think it was great. It kind of does the thing where it has a lot of flashbacks or just kind of like side two stories kind of going together, two different timelines, I guess. And so there's parts of it where I think that does kind of work, but then I think at times it kind of undercuts some of the tension that could be building up from one storyline, and then we're then cutting to the other storyline, and maybe they aren't at the same spot tonally. It's not like they're building up together, and so I think that kind of some of the energy kind of gets taken out by doing that. But I still enjoyed it. I still think that Anna Kendrick is great. I forget the actor's name. I should have looked it up. That plays the contestant on the game show. So I think that there's great acting in it, and there's some of the tension, some of the scenes are set up or crafted well. There's tension in a lot of scenes, but ultimately I think it just kind of fell a little bit flat. And then we have Smile and Smile 2. Now this is one where I think the first Smile, I think everyone thought it was just going to be some dumb movie, and I remember loving it. I think come to find out, I think I loved it more than a lot of people did. Because I have this at like a 3.5. I really enjoyed the first Smile. I really enjoyed Smile 2. I'm going to put it at a 3.5 as well. I think this is one of those where I think a lot of people loved Smile 2 more than the original Smile. And it's tough. I look at them back and forth, and it's hard for me to like tell which I loved more, because I think Smile 2, no offense to Kevin Bacon's daughter. I should have looked up a lot of these people's names before I did this video. I think she does a great job in the first film, but I do think the acting is better in the second film. I think we're getting more of a step up there from like Naomi Scott. I think she brings a whole lot more from like the lead performance of the film. So I think the acting is better in the second one. So I think that's why a lot of people I think maybe like the second one a little bit more. My thing with this second movie is it does a lot of the same scares as the first one. And so I think the first one was so cool because it was fresh in some of the scares, some of the twists, with like her therapist and things like that, where it's like there's a couple of those twists where it's like that's an amazing twist, or that's an amazing you pretty much kind of lull you to a sense of security, and then all of a sudden you do a twist and it's like, oh, like that worked so well, that was so brilliant. And then in Smile 2 it kind of just does some of those same, like there's one scare in particular with the friend character toward the end of the movie where it's like a copy and paste of like the same formula they used in the first. So I saw it coming and I knew what was happening the entire time. So I think it's one of those that's, I don't know. I think it was too similar in a sense. I think it was too similar to the original for me to like say I loved it any more than the original. But it is still good, so going to 3.5. And I will say that if there is a Smile 3, the ending of this film does set up something where it's like, I think with Smile 3 you can go big and you can do something different than kind of the same formula you've done for the first two. And then we have We Live in Time. This is one where because I knew everyone was talking about how emotional it was and how it wrecked them and they were crying at the end. So I went into this really wanting to cry, getting a good cry out of it. And I was sad and I was emotional, but I didn't lose it in the same way that a lot of other people did. I'm going to go with a 3.5 here. Um, Florence Pugh and Andrew Garfield were both amazing, and I think by the end I wasn't in tears, but I was kind of like emotional just thinking back at the film, especially the moments of them like in the beginning of their courtship. I think was kind of what impacted me a little bit more than kind of the ending of the film. I don't think I was quite moved as emotionally as I wanted to be, so I'm gonna go with a 3.5. And then you're going to see a trend down here where the new Venom was coming out. And obviously, if you remember the end credit scene of both Venom 2 and No Way Home had Tom Hardy in it, so obviously we were getting a connection, right? Obviously, these characters, they were going to come together, and that was what Venom 3 was going to be about, right? We obviously all knew that. But I just I knew it wasn't really going to happen. But just in case, I did go back and it's fun. I love Spider-Man, so I love going back and watching all the Spider-Man films. I think my hot take here, I guess we'll get to it in a second. We're going to go with Spider-Man Homecoming as a 4 star. Venom, this is okay. I'm just going to go with this here. We're going to go Venom as a 2.5 star. And then my hot take, I guess, I'm trying to do because I'm bouncing between the Spider Mans and the Venom, so I'm trying to do two things at once. Spider-Man, Far From Home. I think my hot take is it's also a 4. I think I like it better than Homecoming because this was one of the first Spider-Man. This is when I was getting into the MCU, was leading up to Endgame, and then this obviously coming right after Endgame. So this was kind of at the peak of my MCU like fandom, I guess you can, if you will. So I genuinely I love Far From Home. I know it's everyone like a lot of people hate it. I love it. Then going back to the Venoms, Venom Let There Be Carnage. We're going with a 2.5. Spider-Man No Way Home. This is where you're gonna see my kind of my Spider-Man fanboy. Spider-Man has been my superhero since I was a kid. I just have always loved Spider-Man. So this was just a special film for me, so I'm going all the way up at a 5 star. Granted, I understand that it's not like the same cinematic, feat as some other 5 star films, but it just for me, for what this film is, it delivers absolutely everything it was supposed to. So I still love this. I'm going with a 5 star. And then Venom: The Last Dance, Venom 3, we're going with a 2.5. So we're seeing here with the Venom. This is just where the Venom franchise lives. I used to hate them a little bit more. I think originally had the original Venom as like a 1.5 or a 2 star. It's worked its way up to a 2.5, and then all the other sequels, they're all 2.5 films. They have some good, they have a lot of bad. They just kind of sit here as like they are movies. They just sit here in this 2.5 star range. And then we have T2, Terminator Judgment Day. I watched the original Terminator months ago with friends, and we were life gets busy for everyone, so it took us months till we got back to when we could all finally watch T2 together. I'm going with a 4 star. I do think that this is a film that it's kind of one of those classic films that if you saw when you were younger or you just grew up on this film, I can see why so many people love this. I can see this being kind of a classic film that people just like love and enjoy. For me, it was okay. It was great. I enjoyed everything about it. I just don't think I have the emotional connection to it yet. So we'll see if that's in the years from now. If I learn to love that movie more, if it grows on me more. And then we have Conclave. Saw this in. I was shocked when I went and saw this. It was a packed theater. I think I was the only person under the age of, we'll say, 55 in the theater, but it was packed with a lot of older people in a very kind of conservative area. So the twist at the end of this movie, I guess not really a twist, but kind of the reveal of something at the end of this movie, definitely created a lot of discussion and buzz and kind of interesting reaction in my theater that I quite enjoyed. But Conclave was great, and I really look forward to seeing this again. When I do my Oscars rewatch, rewatching everything because it's 100% going to be nominated for multiple Academy Awards. And then we're finishing with Hereditary down at the bottom on Halloween. I'm putting this up at a 5 star. This is one of those that there's a good chance you're probably going to see another video from me on Hereditary on this channel coming up. Alright, so now that we've got them rated, let's get them ranked. At the bottom here, I think I might leave it like that. I might go Brothers and then Imaginary. Um, two, we're gonna go Salem's Lot by itself. Two and a halves. Hmm. This is gonna be interesting. I don't know how to. I don't even. Yeah, I don't know what to do here. I guess Terrifier is maybe my favorite of the two and a halves. Maybe the Platform Two is my least favorite. And then it's just how do I? I don't know how I'm supposed to rank. I think I like The Last Dance better than Let There Be Carnage. But do like, are they all just so together? Like Wolves either goes before? Yeah, I guess Wolves probably goes before. Actually, I might go Wolves above Terrifier. Probably Wolves, Terrifier, original Venom, Let There Be, or The Last Dance, Let There Be Carnage, and then the Platform Two. The 3 stars, probably Joker Folia do at the bottom. Terrifier 3, Terrifier 2, and then Transformers 1. That's probably the order, like that. And then we get to these two categories where everything sat this month, the 3.5s and the 4s. Okay. Probably We Live in Time goes pretty high up. Do I keep Joker at the top of the 3.5s? Probably. Joker probably at the top of the 3.5. We Live in Time. Um, second, honestly, Smile probably comes pretty high up, and I think Smile 2. Again, they're so like hip and hip. They're so connected. Um, I think maybe this is the order: Joker, We Live in Time, Smile, Smile 2, It Lives Inside, The Outrun, Saturday Night, Woman of the Hour. I think that's how I'm going. That's the order there. The 4 stars, Wild Robot definitely at the top here. Probably Will and Harper, and then Conclave. Conclave or My Old Ass? Probably Conclave, My Old Ass. Oh my gosh. Oh man, never. Okay, actually, I need to really think. I This is tough. Okay, so Spider-Man is probably actually going to come up. Man, okay. Okay, I think this might be where I go. I might go the Wild Robot, Spider-Man Homecoming, or Spider-Man Far From Home, Spider-Man Homecoming, Will and Harper, Conclave, My Old Ass, and then Terminator 2 kind of feels gross leaving at the bottom of the 4s. Um, Again, like I said, I can see that being a film that grows on me and gets up higher, but I think for right now, I'm okay putting it kind of at the bottom of the 4s. And then we have The Platform by itself at 4.5. And then the 5s up top, we're going to probably go Hereditary and then No Way Home. So that's it. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. Let me know down below in the comments below what you think of these films. If there's any of these films that we have drastic opinions on, and then I'll obviously always just know that film is subjective. Obviously, I can have a different opinion than you. So it's just if there is any sort of differences, if there's a film I'm lower on that you love, or a film that you love or that I love that you were lower on, just talk about it in the comments. And also just let me know what some of your favorite first watches, particularly probably scary movies that you watched in the month of October. But let me know all of that down below in the comments. And if you'd like to like the video and subscribe to the channel, I would greatly appreciate it. Thank you guys. Have a great day.